Hello everyone. Hello, this is Diven with SaugaTalks here today on September, rather afternoon in Connecticut. Hello everyone. So those who watching SaugaTalks regularly, please comment, put likes in, put your engagements in. I need to know what's working, what's not working. And please follow on YouTube, apparently, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. So today I am here with Cyril Coste, who is hello, Cyril. Hello.
Hello, Aaron. How are you?
Hello, welcome. So Cyril, so kind to dedicate some time to SaugaTalks today. I invited Cyril to speak with me because he is a worldwide renowned expert in digital transformation. He is a B2B marketing influencer recognized by few respectable institutions, I would say. And I'm just impressed with Cyril's overall experience and his openness to share the wisdom and sometimes advice to executives, to teams. Welcome, Cyril. How are you today?
Thank you for your invitation.
Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. And the reason I wanted to speak with you because we know that B2B marketing is growing in front of our eyes, because with all the digital capabilities, everyone can do everything. The point is, I wanted to find out what does it mean for you to be digital influencer? B2B marketing influencer. This is new area we see developing. So how's it working for you?
That's a good question. How it feels, I don't know, because it happened by accident. You know that I was doing a digital strategy project for a fashion retailer in the UK, and we were talking a lot about social media and the importance of social media now for fashion retailer in the promotion and their e-commerce pipeline. And so I say, let's try it. And so basically I started on Twitter, sharing my thoughts, extra, and spending more and more time. And basically gradually my audience, my followers grew. But it wasn't planned. I was just doing this because it was really enjoyable, I would say, because I like the interactions, I like the questions. Even the trolls sometimes give me joy. So it's only at the end of 2017 that Huawei called me and invited me to an event. If I remember, it was in Berlin, and that they called me an influencer. And this is where I think probably the first time I realized, oh, okay, so what I say is likely resonate in a kind of audience in the Twitter sphere, and some brands basically are interested in this connection. But so it happened, I would say, by accident. It wasn't at all calculated, or it wasn't something I worked actively on. It just happened. And I continued to share even more. I connected with other influencers, so online or via in conferences, in events. And it really raised a lot of interest. It's a kind of really new area too. That say we talk a lot about it, but as you know, there is no metrics, there is no process, there is no clear definition even of what is an influencer, a B2B influencer, not B2C influencer. So it's very interesting to be part of the birth of this kind of movement. Even if I made a bit of research, what we call today an influencer, a marketing influencer, it's what which is a marketing term. It's what sociologists called key opinion leader in the 50s, when they tried to understand the concept of propaganda used by the fascist movement in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's called key opinion leader, sometimes influencer, but it's the same thing. One is from a sociology perspective, the other one from a marketing perspective. What is fascinating is 90% of B2B purchase are influenced by word of mouth, connections, conversations, and only 25% of B2C. That's to say, you know, right now we are talking about influencers in the B2C context, but in B2B, it's far, far more important. And the budgets right now are ridiculous. Companies only devote a very small portion of their budget to B2B influencer marketing. I think one of the reasons is, as I said earlier, it's very new. It's still difficult to measure the effectiveness of the messages that an influencer can relay, because for different reasons. One is in a B2B, the notion of purchase can take months. You know, in B2C, you can say, you know, a car, you will take a few weeks to think about a car. In a B2B concept, if you are talking, you know, changing your ERP system or this kind of stuff,
sales cycle,
replatforming your e-commerce, yeah, you are talking about a year, 18 months maybe. So the notion of influence is over a very long period of time. And in B2C, usually you just have to convince or influence one person. In B2B, you have multiple actors. You have the key decision makers, you have key stakeholders. You know, think about replatforming an e-commerce platform. You are going to involve IT, marketing, operations, finance. Basically, almost you know, half of the company is going to be involved in this concept. So that's why the notion of B2B influence marketing is still very difficult to measure, because it's over a very long period of time and the number of key stakeholders to connect to and to pass the message and to connect to. But it's fascinating because, you know, unlike B2C, where the act of purchase or measurement is almost immediate. They say if Kim Kardashian posted something about SaugaTalks, I'm sure, you know, you will see a spike on YouTube and sure. Influencers basically will do it, but it will take, you know, longer, but it will be smoother. So it's a long-term connection. I'm in for the long term. At the beginning, you know, right now, I think B2B influencer marketing is very focused on technology and marketing topics and everything that is connected to it. So fintech, you know, retail tech. But I was talking with quite a few people, and they say, for example, in healthcare, they need influencer because right now there is so much garbage shared online that basically they need to have this kind of people that are recognized as expert, who have the authority to speak about the topic for it. I was talking with my spouse, for example, in the banking sector, you know, even if they can't talk about what they do, but they can talk about how they do it, you know, how to select, for example, an auditing firm, etc. So there are plenty of topics that even if you cannot talk about what you do in your company, you can talk about how you do it. So it's slowly exploding. And also you have this notion of B2B influencing, which is, so you can have the global aspect, and after you can have a more local, national, or continental market view.
More relatable, right? And I think digital now, helping to enable that trend in a way that it helps influencer like yourself to scale your presence, right? We're gonna get quickly from virtual and physical world. I mean, where do you find the most responses from your audiences? Because frankly, right, everyone's gone virtual now, which again provides enormous opportunities. At the same time, there's no more face-to-face events. So do you feel that shift in what you do?
I think I've been, you know, working with video conferencing for maybe a bit more than 10 years. So the shift for me hasn't been dramatic, you know. I don't have to travel anymore, which is nice. To be fair, it's quite nice not having to wake up very early in the morning to pick up a train to go to Brussels or something like this. It's personally, it hasn't been a major shift. I know that For people who used to do a lot of conference call before, they say they used to go to the office, pick up their phone. The shift has been more difficult, not working from home, but shifting to video conferencing. Why? It's the way we communicate. So when we communicate face to face, 7% of your message is conveyed by what you say, your words, 38% by the tone of your voice, and 55% by your body language. Let's say people who used to go to the office to go in a conference call, they missed 50% of the meaning of the conversations, really sense it. I can see on your face, if you are happy with my answer or you're not happy with my answer. You don't need to pronounce a word. Over a conference call, over a conference call, I cannot say that. So I think the shift has been not necessarily working from home, but the shift to video conferencing. I think this has been the most beneficial. And this is why now, for example, in the UK, there is like a movement of people say, hey, I don't really need to go back to the office. I can see you. So I'm more productive at home. I save time. So I think this has been the key aspect. Also, it has forced everybody to shift at the same time to cloud-based solutions, in addition to the video conferencing, using the same tools, and Microsoft Teams, was relatively recent in some companies. In some companies, they had to rush the deployments to be sure that basically everybody got it. When you are talking, I'm based in London, so one of my clients was 30,000 employees in the London area. They basically had to rush, and they had only maybe 1 month before the lockdown happened to be sure that the infrastructure was ready, from the security aspect, to be sure that there was no holes, that the training was available, that the support was there to answer any question. So basically, it has been like everybody had to move very fast in a very short period of time. And it has been successful because everybody had to shift at the same time. It wasn't like your usual 18-month change management planning, and we are going to roll one department at a time every 2 months and blah, blah, blah. And no, now we're done with that.
Yeah, speaking of acceleration, certain trends, and I know exactly what you mean when company were planning, yes, I have to do something about certain areas in my business, right? But at the same time, I have pressing priorities. So good or bad, okay, this lockdown accelerated those digital trends. So let's talk about a little bit about term itself, because I read a lot about digital transformation. I speak with a lot of experts around digital transformation, and I talk to a lot of people actually in my life about digital transformation, believe it or not. I'm lucky to have people around me of different generations and different experiences. So let me share some, because those who were in, around technology industry, around business, I would say, they would understand what it means, digital transformation. People who are millennials, Z generation, okay, they don't know what it means. For them, digital is everything. Digital is their life. So where do we bridge this? Because I do want to be able to speak the same language with different groups and different society members. Do you see this kind of disconnect?
Do I see it? No, I understand it. I can see why. I say, we have probably the same age, and probably you remember when you wanted to buy a plane ticket, you had to go to a travel agent, the high street.
Yep.
There was a time. Or if you wanted to have a magazine or a newspaper, you needed to go to a news agent. And now some people have no idea, what is a travel agent in the high street, or even a news agent. What do they sell? Some paper version of what you can have online. Digital transformation is evolving, so if we are back, into the 2000s, it was really the migration online in terms of infrastructure. It was moving on internet. So it
Migration
was
of legacy applications, right? Legacy
exactly
business functions and complicated systems that the company acquired over decades, I would say, right?
absolutely. And it was, first, second generation of their internet website. It was testing e-commerce. It was for the banks also, they how do you I used to work for a bank in the mortgage service system, and a few years ago, and the system that I use for the mortgage have been built in the 80s. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they are still the same.
Sure.
And these systems were built with the perspective that you will need to access your mortgage statement once a month.
Mm-hmm.
When we print it, basically to send it to you a paper copy. These systems have never been designed to be accessed once a day. Every time you basically check your online bank statement and you have your mortgage statement. And basically, this creates a lot of issues that basically they have to go over time. So basically, moving online, being digital is also it's also to incorporate our legacy systems. But these systems haven't been designed for the digital age. And for whatever reason, you cannot build new systems quickly, efficiently, cheaply to make them more efficient. Well, I'm talking about these mortgage systems. So what does it mean? So digital transformation in the 2000s was a kind of, first migration, first waves. You remember the Web 2.0, you remember big data, cloud computing. So this was really the kind of, infrastructure, the mass movement. It was after the pioneer from the end of 90s and the early 2000s, it was really the mass movement. Digital transformation. So the first time the term was coined was 2007. Then it was called digital business transformation at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he briefly disappeared because of the financial crisis of 2008. And it comes back in 2010, basically. And it's really from 2012 that digital transformation becomes a key topic and start to raise attention of the different boards. For me, the big shift has been the focus on the customer. I said digital transformation is when you put your customer first at the center of your organization, from marketing perspective, from IT perspective, in terms of customer service, operations, accounting, account receivables, account payables, all these notions. And, how do you serve better your customer leveraging digital devices, solutions, infrastructure. And it was really a big shift for most of the company, because when you are a process-based, process-oriented company, where basically you do this part and I do this part and you do this part, and the customer must follow the steps. It just doesn't work like this anymore. The customer wants, he knows what to do. He has a very good understanding. He can compare you with your competitors very easily. So he decides how he wants to interact with you. He decides, how he wants to be served. Does he want fast shipping or not? Does he want a subscription service or not? Does he want to receive service over the phone or via a chatbot? The customer decides. And if you don't have what he needs or what he wants, well, he will go somewhere else. And basically, this has been quite a big shift. To give you an understanding, 20 years ago, when an household bought a car, in average, it was 7 visits to the car dealership. 7. Today, it's less than 1.
Yeah, we do
less
research online, right? Because the customer much more equipped, right? With all the digital capabilities out there, right? We research online, we pretty much know down to one couple of choices right? When we get to showroom or we get to the store finally, if we ever get to the showroom or the store, right? Let's not
Exactly.
forget that
Why
cars
why
will be
you
ordered online. Yeah.
why do you go to a showroom? Because your car is not there. You know,
Right.
you want this color, you want this finish, and you want this engine. So online you can see it. If you go to a showroom, you are just going to meet a salesperson. So
Exactly. That's when it
um,
shifted. That industry transformed, right? So manufacturers transformed the way they communicate, right? What are the models coming to market? At the same time, retailers transformed already. I mean, this is sad for retail industry, but I see new companies coming up, not online, but really born digitally in a way that they understand the moment, the customer experience expectations better than maybe some older companies. So all I'm saying is there's a lot of optimism there and a lot of investments, I would say, in tech, in retail tech, right, in health tech, you name it, right? So talk to me about the future, because digital, we understand it's our fingertips now, okay? The
yeah.
number of apps we're using, the number of physical, physical interactions really dropping, okay? And it will continue to drop, like it or not. So what do you think this new normal is gonna be?
Well, the new normal is ask me in a few months.
I
uh,
will. I will. Yep. We'll catch up on
no,
that.
no.
Mhm.
So uh, the new normal. So I'm writing an article right now about it, and I think the title is going to be "As the New Normal Brought Us an Old Future." They say,
Mhm.
and what that means is the trends for the next decade was smart cities. What we mean by smart cities is incorporation of sensors and captors in the city to provide better services, security, better transportation, uh, better air quality, etc. Uh, the past few months, we've seen people kind of buying houses outside the cities. So
Mhm.
maybe it's common in the US, but it's not really common in Europe, for
This is
example,
extremely
where
critical. Yeah. I'm
yeah,
outside of New York City. It's extremely critical what's happening right now. People
yeah.
fleeing the city, and we only hope it will revive itself, right? In sometimes, but that's what we're seeing. So yeah, totally.
So are the Europeans going to do to live in a more like in a US manner and living more, 1 hour, 2 hours outside the city center? But it's not how we have designed our public transport system, for example. It's not where we have located the hospitals to provide healthcare services. It's
Mhm.
not how we have located universities and high schools. So a short-term impact, if in the next few years, and that's why I say, ask me in few months, because in few months we'll see if it's a trend or if it's just
Mhm.
something
Reaction to the
reactive.
crisis, right? To actually, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because that will could change fundamentally things. When you do a public transport systems, it's designed for with a financing view for 30 to 50 years.
Yep.
It's not so you calculate basically the return on investment over 30 to 50 years. You don't calculate it over 5 years. So what are the implications for the future projects in terms of public service? And do you need to reassign new projects? So that's the term, the future of smart cities, smart infrastructures, energy, because, power line, you can't change them very easily also. Where you generate your power also is a part of the equation. Um, but from more a consumer and human perspective, the next 10 years are going to be critical with AI. I think AI is going to overpower digital transformation in a sense for the next 10 years. We are going to have it everywhere. Uh, we already have it in a sense, online, when you have, depending on your profile and, we learn how you navigate, we learn what you buy, we learn what you watch as movies, and we can provide you recommendations, etc. But we all know that these systems have bias. And right now, we know that minorities are usually uh, uh, that this system have bias against minorities. So how do we counterbalance this? And if we continue this way, and we were talking about recruitment services, right now almost all companies use what they call a ATS, application tracking system, where basically you put your CV and boom, boom, you have a magic prioritization of the CVs at the end of the process, where basically it's based on the black box. You don't really know what's going on. It's based on keywords, density, some this kind of stuff. And some people are really good to play the game with that, and basically to play the game and have their CV at the top of the game. If companies start to continue to implement this AI system, how are they going to detect the bias and counterbalance them? That's for me, that's critical. And say if companies use them for to recruit their employees, universities could do the same to recruit their students. So that's so the next 10 years are going to be, I think, a fight against the bias against AI and machine learning. That's probably a big concern. It should concern us because all of this is based on our data, on our privacy, our rights, and it's a complicated topic, and I don't master it at all. I'm not an expert in data privacy because there is a lot of you have the legal point of view, you have the moral point of view, and you have also the human rights point of view.
Yes, citizen point of view, right? I'm a citizen. I do have my own, right, kind of interests in the center, all right? As much as I want conveniences, as much as I want personalized offers, at the same time, there got to be, ethical as well as very, private kind of, choices we would need to make this beautiful future. Otherwise, yes, it smells like disaster, okay? So we'll see lots of futuristic movies when it went wrong. Right, in a lot of ways.
And that's absolutely right. And in a sense, if our lives are going to be driven by algorithm, we have the right to know who is this algorithm, maybe.
Exactly.
And right now, we don't know what are these algorithms. We don't know how they have been tested, on which data set, the corrective measures, how they measures, the correlation, causation, etc. So there's a lot of questions, but it's such a young a young market because it has been really only a few years. So we don't really have much step back from it. We don't have the full picture yet. So going to be interesting. I'm curious. As much as you are.
Definitely, absolutely. It's exciting because I know AI already changed the way we entertain ourselves, the way we eat, the way we live, the way we drive. My car, smarter than me, I can tell you, okay? And sometimes I have to turn off all the extra services because now it can self-park. Right now it can do things. I was never great at parallel parking, because I never lived in the city, basically, last, 2 decades, okay? I didn't need to acquire this very, European critical skill. So all I'm saying, new cars now, they will drive you at a comfortable speed. They will adjust all your comfort settings inside of you, right? They will park the car. This is amazing. At the same time, I'm questioning, what is it an individual? What kind of control I have on my life? I mean, because car will be driving me, and who knows, the food will be waiting for me at home, already prepared and all that. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with all this automation everywhere. So yes, as much as optimistic we are looking into this new future, I really want to kind of understand where this is going before I completely
that's a very good example. And for example, so you will be comfortable to have an algorithm to park your car.
Yeah, I will be.
I will be too.
Yep.
Will you be comfortable if an algorithm decides your next pay raise or your promotion?
No. No.
And this is and this is where human, you see, we like, oh, okay, yeah, it makes sense here. No, my promotion, I'm not sure I will let this to an algorithm because I can't really influence the algorithm.
No, I
or
do want to have
or
some control of my life and hopefully my presence
exactly.
in whatever interactions we have in society, right? On the job, at doctor's office, at schools, you name it, right? It's got to be driven by
Exactly.
human nature, I think, as much as I would say, as much as subjective we are sometimes, okay? But just around surround ourselves with algorithms, okay? That's not the world I want to be in just yet.
And that's fascinating because earlier you was talking about, people who have lived only in a digital world, and maybe they will be comfortable to have decisions regarding their pay rise or promotions made by an algorithm. Personally, I won't be. I'm on the same page. But it may be again a generational thing here. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, let's keep a human control on all of this anyway.
Let's keep human control. Again, I'm not very controlling person myself, but certain things, certain things I pay attention to. So that's it. That's it. Cyril, thank you. Thank you so very much. So we did talk about present. We talked about future a little bit. And yes, all these technology trends, they're giving us enormous opportunity. It's new sources of income. It's new social lifts for those who just entering, the job market and just learning things, young kids, mid-career people. So this is amazing. It's really, I want to finish this talk with a message that these are amazing times we live in. It's basically thanks to digital technology, all the opportunities at our fingertips. And yes, human will have to be in charge of their destinies. That's my point of view. What about you?
The same. I think we come from a similar profile where we started our career very much in technology, very much coding. We very hands very handy, and I like to know what technology does. So even I'm not a professional developer anymore. I still code a bit on the side, Python extra. That's not my job. I just do it. It's dirty. It's just to test. And I wonder what happens when one day, this could become just so complex or such a black box provided by, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and you just put your data and you have a result and say, wow, what's in the middle? So that's the challenge. And
couple of points there. Did you hear about GPT-3, right? The new
yes,
algorithm
yes,
that continuing your coding effort, right? It can code like you, it can speak like me, it can paint the painting, it can compose the music just like a famous composers, right? So the line will be blurred in the future, what's real, what's fake, okay? At the same time,
So I haven't tried GPT-3. I tried a lot. I worked a lot with GPT-2, and let's be frank, it wasn't very good. It was good maybe 10% of the time, but there was a lot of garbage. Okay.
Yep.
So looking forward October when they are going to release GPT-3 to try it, to test it. Apparently it's very good. So finger crossed. After it's well, we have to live with our time. And I don't know if you remember a movie, I think it's from the 80s called Electric Dreams, where it's a terrible movie. The acting was terrible. Electric Dreams, if you can find it on Netflix or
it's so bad
Amazon
that it's
Prime.
good. Yeah, this kind of movie that is so bad that at some point it's good.
But this movie is a bit special because it was produced by Richard Branson.
Of course.
When you produced a few movies in Hollywood, And basically, the idea behind the movie is a computer. Someone buys a computer, and there is an accident, and basically the computer becomes alive and takes control of the house, of the flat in this case. And you have sensors, you have screens everywhere. And basically, it's funny, like 35 years later, you watch a movie and you say, well, that's pretty much our life today, where basically the computer say, okay, what I can eat for my diet, what I should listen in terms of recommendation, my recommendations for restaurant, extra. And, without noticing it, we let our lives being driven by algorithm, because also we become lazy, probably in a sense.
We shouldn't. Hey, good thing. By the way, again, speaking with enormously smart people here on SaugaTalks, I keep reassuring, my audience here in a way that we are the humans, we are kind of sophisticated beings, okay? And it took millions of years, let's not forget about that, right? To get to the shape we're in. And we don't require much energy. It's funny, right? For our brain function to work. We can live on a little bit of water, some food, less food than we typically consume, by the way, right? And we just need fresh air and some physical activities to keep the blood going. So all I'm saying is, let's finish here. Let's finish this talk with the message that we're in control of our bodies, we're in control of our destinies, and our intelligence, human intelligence, created artificial intelligence. So we're going to continue, of course, evolve. We're going to continue improve those helpful algorithms. And that said, I'm all for humans, and I think we reached some consensus here. Thank you.
Thank you.